Hi all, welcome to the day 6 session on API testing by Testology. So we have done the introduction to APIs yesterday and we have done the revision, so we will not do that today. We are going to talk about today the environment variables, how to use them in Postman. Okay, and next we will talk about query parameters. So basically when you send a API request, sometimes you need to pass some values in the request URL. Okay, so we will see how to pass some query parameters in the request URL. Okay, and we will talk about the path parameters. Okay, then we will talk about HTTP response assertion. I hope previously the HTTP status code assertion is done in the previous session. We will take it today also. It's a very quick example, and assertion basically means a test that you want to apply on any response from the server. Okay, so assertion is equals to a test. Okay, and what test we are going to perform? The response assertion. Okay, the response body that we will receive from the server. Next we will say that how to run the Postman collection uh, completely in one go. Okay, so there is a way that we can follow in Postman and simply execute all the API requests inside a collection, and you don't need to execute every request manually. Okay, so let's get started with environment variables. So let's go to Postman now. I have created this practice collection. Okay, how we create a practice collection? Basically you have this option of new. You can click on this new button. Okay, and when you click on new button, you get couple of options here. You want to create a new HTTP request, you want to create a collection, or you want to do something else. You can select any option you want to choose. Okay, so basically we are talking about the collection here. So we have a couple of requests. These are HTTP requests. Okay, when you have created a new collection, you can click on these three dots and you can add a request. This is a option again here for HTTP request that you can add. So I have already added a couple of requests here. Okay, you guys can see there is a delete request, there is a options API, there is a head API, put API. We will talk about these APIs also, no worries. But the basic thing here is to talk about the variables. Okay, what are variables? Basically variables are something that holds a value. Okay, variables are some data points, we can say, which will hold the data. Okay, so let me paint it. So now you can think of a variable like this. This is a variable. There will be some value here. Value can be a name. Okay, so we can say the value is Ravi Shastri. Okay, the variable name is full name. Okay, so this is the variable name, and the value that this variable is holding is Ravi Shastri. Okay, so basically these variables also exist in Postman. Okay, so variables are present in the form of environment variables. Okay, you can see here when I click here, by default you will see this option, no environment. Fine, by default you will see at the top right of your Postman that no environment is selected. Then you can click on this drop down and you can add some environment. Okay, so you have this option also, environment quick look. Okay, so I will say now, let's say prod. Okay, fine. So I want to create a new environment. I can go here, I can just click on this I environment quick look option. Okay, at the top right corner, and you can add some environment here. Okay, I will click on this add option now. Now I will say a new environment name is prod. Okay. Now, what are these environments? Okay. So let's have a look at something that we already know. Okay. So now you are booking a ticket through a ticket booking website. Okay. So basically, what is that website? Maybe some yatra.com or some Make My Trip, right? Some good ticket booking websites are there. Those websites are the production versions which are live in front of you. Okay. Testology.in, that also is a website that is live production version. Okay. So your client is Chrome browser or Postman, right? There can be couple of environments here. Okay. Let's say this is my development environment. This is my QA environment, and this is my production environment. Okay. Now I'll just quickly tell you about the difference. Now let's say we have a common database, or let's have a different database also for development environment, for QA environment, and for production environment. Now what are these? You are joining a new company as a QA automation engineer. Then you will see developers are writing code. Developers write the code and they deploy their code. They publish their code somewhere, right? Now, where is that code being executed, right? At developer's machine, right? That is called as local environment. Local machine of the developer is local environment for that developer. Fine. Developer will also deploy his or her code on dev environment, or checking that the code changes are working fine or not. Okay. So this is the dev environment where developer will deploy the code. Fine. Then there comes a QA environment. Fine. QA environment is also there for the testing purpose. It's your environment, the QA automation engineers environment, where the developer has already done its coding part, and now the code is coming from this dev environment to QA environment. Okay. Here the developer cannot directly make changes. Some bad practices are going on where the changes are directly made to QA environment, but that's not a standard practice. It should not be done, because here you will report the bugs, you will test the code which was already deployed to dev environment. Okay. Now this is your environment. Fine. And then there is a production environment. Okay. So this is prod. Fine. QA has given the sign off. Now the things will go to prod environment. Okay. What is this prod environment now? All these three things are servers. Okay. Servers where the code is deployed. The APIs are present at this server. Fine. Now I'll show you the prod environment. So this is testology.in. This website is the production server of this particular product. This website's production version, which is live for us. Okay. Now, this website might be also present at some QA environment where the tester has performed the testing. And this website might also be deployed on this develop environment. Okay. So that will be basically the environment where the developer has deployed the code. So the basic thing is you can access all of these environments through your client. Okay. You can access the dev, you can access the QA, you can access the prod. Okay. So this is your client, that is Chrome browser or the Postman. Fine. And we have databases different for all these environments. Fine. Environment basically means a server which contains the code being executed. Okay, the APIs present here will have different URL. Okay, so maybe the URL for dev environment for testology will be dev.testology.in. Fine. Then the URL for QA environment will be qa.testology.in. Fine. Here there will be directly testology.in. Now, what is the relation between a variable and these environments? That's what I was trying to create a scenario so that you guys can understand. Okay, so now we have these environment ready. We have some variables that we can set for these environments. Now I have given you a very good example of URLs being different. So this dev environment, a dev server will have a different URL, a QA environment will have a different URL, and production environment will have a different URL. Okay, so I can show you in Postman. Now we have three environments, right? How did we created an environment here? Now what we have in reality, we are just mimicking here. Okay, so you can add an environment by clicking on this button, click on this add option. Okay, and you will be able to add a new environment. You will be able to mimic the variables needed for that particular. Basically you are storing some data that is specific to some environment. Okay, so I will say the new environment name is staging. Okay. Now there's a staging environment also that people use. Basically staging is after QA. Okay, so this staging environment will come in between this, and this is also a mandatory environment that we should have, but just for your understanding purpose I have created three. Okay, now staging will have its own URL, so we will say staging URL. Fine, staging URL will have staging dot testology dot, or staging is also called as RC. Okay, RC basically means release candidate. Okay, so RC dot testology dot in. Fine, so we will save this. Click on the save button. Now we have again no environment selected. We will select one. I will select dev. Okay, now I have selected a dev environment, and I will again press this quick look button, environment quick look. So what variables I have created here? Variable URI. This is my local host URI. Okay, this is reqres dev URI. Basically I have created a variable with this name, but the initial value and current value you will be able to see the same. So when you want to edit this environment details, just click on this edit option, and you can add a new environment variable here. Okay, so you can say user name. Fine, you will say Ravi Shastri. Fine, and you click here, both the values will be same, so don't be surprised. Initially it copies the same value here. Okay, so the main thing is we have four variables created now specific to dev environment. I will save this button. Always press this save button so that the changes that you are making related to the Postman will be saved. Okay, so now the changes are saved. Fine, now these environments are basically related to the requests. Now this get user API. Okay, get user API is a get API. I can make a get call now. Okay, I'm making this get call to get the data of user ID 2. Okay, so this is the host name, this is the API path, and this is the path parameter. Okay, so this is my path parameter, that is the user ID 2. Okay, now I can simply replace these values, that is req res dot in, with a variable. so that I don't need to write this host name again and again when I have some new requests. Okay. So if I add a new request, you see here, I can simply use the existing variables which I have stored in this environment variable. Okay. So I will say double curly braces, again double curly braces. Okay. Now you see it is looking like some red color. Okay. This is red in color. Why this is red in color? Because it says unresolved variable. Okay, we are using an unresolved variable. We will resolve this. So we have a variable name that is reqres dev uri. Okay, I will copy this, and inside the two curly braces I will paste like this. Now the color is changed. It is now orange in color. Earlier it was red because it is resolved now. Now if I hover on this, you will see the initial and current values of this URI. Okay, so this is how you don't need to write something again and again. Okay, to save your efforts, variables are there. Specific to this environment, you have this dev URI. Okay, now dev environment will have this variable name. Fine. You can even have same variable name. Just for your understanding purpose, I have kept the different name in different environment variables. So if I select this QA, now again this is unresolved. Okay, because this variable reqres dev URI is present in this dev environment and not in QA environment. Okay, so if I select QA environment, then this will be unresolved. Okay, it becomes red in color. Okay, but I will select dev for now. Okay, and in dev environment variables we have this reqres dev UI. Fine. What is the path? So I am taking this API call from this website, that is reqres, and I am just getting a single user. So the API path and path parameter is present. I will copy this, and this is your host. Okay, so I have already copied the host. I will copy the path and path parameter. So I have this API call ready, and API slash users. This is the API path, endpoint path. Okay. And this is my path parameter. So I will send this request. Okay. So it is giving some error. No worries. What is the value here? HTTPS. And do we need to give this forward slash? Let me check. Okay, so what happened actually, this reqres dev URI contains the value with a forward slash already present here. After the dot in, there is a forward slash, and I added a forward slash here. So that is why the error was there. Okay, fine. So our API call is now successful. So this is how the environment variables work. Now I'll show you something more. If I select QA, fine, this variable is not anymore in use. So I have created a reqres QA URI here. Okay, this variable is present in QA environment variables. I'll have a quick look now. Okay, so these are my QA environment variables, and you can see the URI is same, but I have just given a different name. Okay, so both environments here, dev and QA, both can have same variable names. It doesn't matter, because in real time, what will happen, in real time, in this QA environment, you will have this value different, right? And this will be simply URL, right? And you just need to select this. So I can give you one more good example. Let's add the user ID also. Okay, so I will edit this, and I will say user ID. I will add a user ID variable. User ID equals to 2. Fine. User ID is 2. I will save this. I will go to dev now. Go to dev, and I will have user ID here as 1. Okay, I will edit this, and I will make user ID 1. Fine, we have now a variable with same name in both the environments, that is dev and QA. So I will save this. Fine, this value is also 1. I will save this, and I will close this. Fine, let's go to our new request, and this I will make as, let's quickly edit the variables. Fine. I will make this just URL, nothing else, so that we have the same variable name. And there is no nothing bad in using the same, because that is what variables are used for. Whenever I select any environment here, then I don't need to, basically change the request URL. Here, if you see, I will just say now URL. Okay. I think the QA one is not yet saved. So I will edit this and I will just make this URL. Fine. I have saved this now. I will go to my request. So now my ID will become like a variable call. Okay, you can call the variables by putting double curly braces, again double curly braces. Fine. And you will say user underscore ID. Fine. I will save this. So what is the user ID you are able to see? Values 2. Fine. I will select dev. Okay, now I have selected dev. What is the user ID now? Oh, the user ID is 1 now. Okay. So you guys understand this, that how the environment variables are useful. I want to test the dev environment with user ID 1. So I have selected dev environment from here and I have just sent the request to dev environment. Okay. So I have got email george.bluth@reqres.in. Okay. Now I will select QA. I want to test QA environment with user ID 2. Okay. So you guys see user ID initial value 2, current value 2. I will send the request now. Okay. What in response we have got janet.weaver. Okay, guys. So this was about the environment variables and how you can use them in the request URL. Okay. So any questions, I will answer them now.